Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lottie and today I have an absolutely massive book haul. As the title says, I have over 60 books to talk about today. I am not going to be leaving a haul this long again. I think in 2021 I did quarterly hauls, but this has just accumulated so much. I'm gesturing like this and you can't even see it, but I literally have books all over my bedroom right now so that I remember to talk about all of them. I'm going to try and do more frequent hauls obviously, but it depends on what books I get when. So yeah, whatever. I'm not going to be doing descriptions of the books that I'm going to be talking about today. I'm not going to talk about what they're about, etc., because this video will just take too long. So I'll try and give you a short synopsis or just explain why I wanted to read it, and then we will try and keep things short and sweet because I don't think you want to be here all day listening to me talk about all the books that I've just acquired that I probably won't get to for a long time. I also don't want to be here all day talking about all these books. So I normally split my hauls into categories by age group and then genre. I'm not going to be doing that today. It's all going to be a bit random, and instead I want to talk to you about the type of book they are or like how I acquired them, just because this is both a combination of my quarterly haul and also my Christmas haul, because I have been so fortunate to be gifted a lot of books these last few months. So let's start off with the arcs that I have acquired. So in 2021 I joined NetGalley and I have just been clicking requests on a bunch of different books that I'm really eager to read. So the first one is one that I have already read and it came out on I think December the 1st, and that is Thunderpaws and the Tower of London by Ben Housden. This was about a cat at the Tower of London and I absolutely loved it. I think I read it in November, so if you want to hear my full thoughts on that, check out my November wrapper. So the next one is coming out in January, and that is The Chosen 12 by James Breakwell. This is on my January TBR, but I forgot to mention it in my TBR video, so I will definitely be trying to read that in time for its release. This is a science fiction. I think it's actually about 22 people who need to get on a spaceship and there's only 12 spaces, so it gave me very Hunger Games Battle Royale vibes, which is why I was interested in it. The next one I think is coming out in June, and that is Under Fortunate Stars by Hutchings. I can't remember what this is about other than that it is a science fiction, and also I absolutely love the cover. It is gorgeous. The next one comes out in February, and that is The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea by Axie. I've seen a few people talking about this on booktubes, which makes me really excited, the fact that I have an arc of it. This is a fantasy Eastern Asian inspired retelling, I think, of a girl who fell beneath the sea, I guess. And also I think it is a portal fantasy, so I'm really excited to read that. And then the last arc that I have been approved for so far is Epically Earnest by Molly Horan. This is a contemporary, and I think it is about theatre kids, and I also think it is gay, and that's probably the only reason why I wanted to request it. But I also already love the cover art, so I'm really excited to read that as well. So the next books that I'm going to be talking about are from my subscription box. I have become a subscriber of the Afterlove box by Illumicrate, which is a adult romance quarterly box. So the book for that was All the Feels by Olivia Dade in November, and then I also paid for the add-on for Spoiler Alert, which is the first book in this duology series. I'm not quite sure yet how many books this is going to be, but I have read Spoiler Alert and I really loved it, and I'm yet to read All the Feels, but I'm really excited about it. So because these are special editions, they are obviously hardcovers, they have sprayed edges. I have decided I don't like the sprayed edges on Spoiler Alert. I think they look really faded, and also I've already managed to damage it. There is nothing special under the dust jackets, but they are this beautiful yellow, and then also we have a little signed printed signing from the author. And then it's the same again with All the Feels. This one has pink sprayed edges, which I love a lot more. This one is blue under the dust jacket, and because this was the book of the quarter, I guess it has a letter from the author and is also signed again, printed on signing. So yeah, they are my subscription box books for the last quarter of 2021. So next I'm going to talk through all of the Kindle books that I have bought recently. Towards the last quarter of the year I got really into the 99p daily deals. I'm going to blame Rose Discord for that, because everybody is like, oh, this is on the Kindle daily deal today, and I'm just like, yep, purchase. So I have quite a few that I have bought, but they were only 99p, so it doesn't really count, but it does add up. So the first one is She Who Became a Sun by Shelley Parker Chan. I've seen a lot of people be talking about this recently, so I was really excited to read this. This is another East Asian inspired fantasy. Next was Afterlove by Tanya Burne. I think this was a bonus book in one of the Fairy Loot boxes earlier in 2021, which is how it got on my radar, but all I really know about this is it's gay. Next is Crave by Tracy Wolff. I don't really know anything about this other than it is like about vampires, I think, and I'm obsessed with books about vampires, so that's why I wanted to read it. Next is Before I Saw You by Emily Houghton. This is a contemporary romance. I think it's about, like, I don't know, probably meeting someone on a chat room and then they fall in love and then they haven't even seen each other yet. I don't really know what it's about, but it sounds like a really cute romance. So next was Fix Her Up by Tessa Bailey. I think I've seen Steph from Steph Loves talk about this and I can't really remember what it's about, but I think the girl is like a bit of a mess and then the love interest is like a handyman and he fixes her up. I don't know, I haven't read it, but it sounds really interesting. And finally, The Ex Hex by Erin Stirling. A lot of people have been talking about this recently and I'm super excited to read this. This is a romance again and it's about a witch who casts a curse on her ex thinking it won't really do anything, and it turns out she has real magic, and then he comes back to the town and the curse is like worked and she has to sort it out or something. I can't remember, but yeah, I'm really excited about this one as well. So now we will be talking about all of the physical books that I've either been gifted or purchased for myself. First of all, we have two gifts which were so kindly purchased for me from my colleagues at my old job when I left. I really did not expect anything and the girls from my own job was just so kind and they got me some gifts, and two of those were books. Neither of them are books that I probably would have picked out for myself, but I'm really interested to read them. So the first one is The Binding by Bridget Collins, which I had not heard of before, but I think it is a pretty popular book on like Booknet. I've seen this around on Goodreads a little bit and I've also heard quite a few people talking about this. So this is about a person who can make magic out of books, I think. Yeah, I think it's about magic and books, which, you know, sounds really interesting to me. I thought it was a little bit historical, so I'm a little bit apprehensive. This is like a historical fantasy, historical fiction type book. I'm not much of a historical reader, but it's something I definitely want to get into a little bit more. Working at the library has made me see a lot of historical fantasy / historical fictions and I've been like, I think I would be into that. So maybe it's a genre I'll be dipping my toes into in 2022, but yeah, I'm really interested in seeing what this is all about. And so the next book that the girls got for me was Women Who Run with the Wolves by Clarissa, Pinkola, Estes. This is Contacting the Power of the Wild Woman. So this is a non-fiction, which again I'm a little bit apprehensive of because it's not something I would have picked out for myself, but it kind of sounds a lot like me. So this is a seminal work on the inner life of women, a creation of poetry and power. It began a revolution and continues to transform the lives of millions around the world. The author reveals how within every woman there lives a wild woman filled with passionate creativity and ageless knowing, but repressed for centuries by a value system that trivializes emotional truth, intuitive wisdom, and instinctual self-confidence. And the enriching bestseller shows how through the interpretation of story and her psychological commentary, we can reclaim and rejoice in our true feminine power, how we can awaken within the depths of our souls someone who is both magic and medicine. It does sound quite interesting and I would like to at least give it a go because it was bought for me as a gift, but there is literally so much text on the page and the text is so tiny, so if I do ever eventually pick this up, it will take me quite a while to get through. There are also 6 pages of contents in this, so it is quite a chunky book. So the next few books I'm going to be talking about are all books that I have bought for myself. So first of all, we have the next 3 Life is Strange comics. I've been reading this. I have been reading this basically just whenever I feel like I want to pick up something short and easy. So this is based on the game Life is Strange, and so I picked up the most recent 3 because there's only 5 out at the moment. So we've got Strings, Partners in Time, Tracks, and then also Coming Home, which came out in November. So once I have finally caught up with this series, I will have to wait quite a while for the next issue, which I'm really sad about because I really love this series. All of them have been 5 stars for me so far. It's so sweet. It's about time travel. It's about 2 girls who are basically in love with each other, and I really love it. Next are all books that I bought from the works, either on the 3 for £5 deal or they were a box set on sale, so I could not take advantage of them. So first of all, we have the first 3 books in the Graceling series by Kristin Cashore, which are Graceling, Fire, and Bitter Blue. I don't really know what these books are about, but they were on the 3 for £5 deal and the covers are absolutely stunning, which is why I wanted to pick them up. All I really know about them is that they are fantasy books, so I will probably enjoy them. Next is the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy by Laini Taylor, which of course consists of Daughter of Smoke and Bone, Days of Blood and Starlight, and Dreams of Gods and Monsters. This is a series that I have been really interested for a really long time. It's quite an old series and I think quite a staple on BookTube. I'm really interested to see what it's all about. Again, all I really know about it is it's fantasy. I think portal fantasy? Can't remember if that's correct. But yeah, this is a pretty famous YA fantasy series. So next was a box set of the first 5 books of the Shatter Me series by Tahereh Mafi, a famous dystopian series that I don't really know much about other than this girl who has these powers that destroys people she touches, I think. So we've got Shatter Me, Unravel Me, Ignite Me, Restore Me, and Defy Me. Of course, of the first 5 books. I think there have been 2 more released since this box set, and also there are a handful of novellas as well that I would like to collect in this series, but this is again a series that I have been really interested in for a really long time and I can't wait to get stuck in. And then my final lot of books from the works were the Percy Jackson books. So this is obviously again a really famous middle grade fantasy series about a boy called Percy Jackson who is the son, I think, of Poseidon. I've never read these books. I don't even think I've seen the films actually. I don't really know anything about what it's about other than it's about a boy called Percy Jackson and it's something to do with Greek gods. But I really wanted to read the Rick Riordan books for such a long time. I did a degree in ancient history and I love lore and myth, so I'm really interested in them. So of course these books consist of Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief, Percy Jackson and the Sea of Monsters, Percy Jackson and the Titan's Curse, Percy Jackson and the Battle of the Labyrinth, and Percy Jackson and the Last Olympian. The only thing I hate about these books is that they're these really shiny cover editions, which is really annoying, but you know, whatever. I have all 5 of those, and then of course once I read them I can continue on with the follow-on series. So next is a collection of Stephen King's books. Hodder and Stoughton have been re-releasing his books as small collections with cohesive covers, and the second one to be released was a bunch of novellas. So I have been collecting these as a part of my Stephen King collection. They've also just announced the next batch, which will be released in January, and the cover for Misery is so beautiful. I love it so much and I can't wait to get my hands on it. Yes, so the books in this second collection are The Mist, The Sundog, The Body, The Langoliers, Apt Pupil, Rita Hayworth and Shawshank Redemption, and finally 1922. Yeah, so there are seven. I don't know why that was so difficult. 7 books here all together, and I have read 2 of them. So I have read The Mist and I have read Shawshank Redemption, and I enjoyed both of them. So next I have a couple of pre-orders that came out in 2021. First of all, we have of course Empire of the Vampire by J. Kristoff. This was my most anticipated book of the entire year and it did let me down a little bit. It was still a 5-star, I still really loved it, but I think I overhyped it in my head, so it did let me down ever so slightly, but it was still very good. So I have the Waterstone Special Edition here, which is just got sprayed edges and also it is signed by the author. I do have 2 copies of this. My original pre-order I wasn't able to cancel, which was just the standard edition, so I will probably be unhauling that and keeping a hold of this one. And secondly, we have Aurora's End by Amie Kaufman and J. Kristoff, which I absolutely loved. This was one of my favourite books of the entire year. This is just the standard edition. I really wanted to pre-order the signed edition, but they didn't announce it until I had already pre-ordered this and I couldn't cancel it, which was really annoying. So yeah, this is just this regular standard edition. This is obviously the 3rd book in the Aurora cycle, which I absolutely love, and yeah, this is a fantastic book. You should read it. So next I have another J. Kristoff book, which is Lifelike. This is the first book in his standalone sci-fi series. I am really interested to read this series, but I have not heard good things about it, so I'm a little bit worried now whether or not I'm going to like it, but I can, you know, it's always worth it to give it a go. Something that's really annoying is this book is completely different to the other UK editions, and for some reason I can't find a matching version of this book to the the next 2 books in the trilogy. Honestly, I don't really know what this is about. I really just picked it up because it's J. Kristoff, and because I have loved his 2 sci-fi series with Amie Kaufman, I thought I will probably like this, but because I loved Nevernight and wasn't that keen on Empire of the Vampire, I'm a little bit like, what if I don't like this one? But you know, all we can do is try it. So next I have a couple of contemporaries by Adibo Jai Gurdar, and we have Hani Inishu's Guide to Fake Dating, which came out in 2021, and also The Henna Wars. These are both young adult sapphic contemporaries, which I'm really interested to read. All I know about this is that one of them is out and the other is not, I think, and they have to like prove themselves that they are actually gay, and then it's got like fake dating, and then they probably end up dating for real. And then The Henna Wars, again, I don't really know what this one is about. I think again it's just about lesbians. This obviously tackles things such as being gay in Asian culture, which is something I'm really interested in reading more about as well. But yeah, I can't wait to get to these books, so I hope that I can squeeze them on a TBR very soon. Next, I have Winter by Marissa Meyer, which is the 4th book in the Lunar Chronicles series. I have only read the first book quite a while ago, but I have been reluctant to pick up the rest of the series because I didn't own the rest of the books. And I know that I really enjoyed Cinder, so I know I will definitely continue with the series. It's just a matter of when. So this is the last book. It is a chonker. It's also a super floppy paperback, which I absolutely love. Like, it's just so satisfying that it just sits open like that. But yeah, this is the final book in that series. I also like to try and collect the 2 novellas, but finding them with these covers anymore is super difficult. The only reason I've been collecting the old covers is because I had Cinder and Scarlet in the original covers, but they have been re-released with covers that I definitely prefer, but whatever, we have to commit now. So yeah, I will be trying to collect the 2 novellas with these covers if possible, and hopefully I will be reading this series soon because I really loved Cinder and I want to get back into it. So next, this one might seem a little bit random, but it is a book that I loved in my youth, and that is Charlotte's Web by E.B. White. I saw a copy of this come into the library, someone had donated it, and it just reminded me that the book existed, so I wanted to get my own copy, and I have this beautiful little cloth bound puffin edition. So obviously my name is not actually Lottie, it's Charlotte, in case you weren't aware, but I loved this book as a child, and not just because the main character, Charlotte, who is the spider, has the same name as me. I remember watching the film, which isn't the one with Dakota Fanning, it was a different animated version, and I loved it so much. But I remember being read this as a little girl, so I really just wanted to have my own copy that I could read at some point. It's obviously really short, it's a classic children's book. I don't particularly care for classics, but I love some children's classics because that's what I was read as a little kid. So I would like to try and read this at some point. I just love it so much. It's so cute, and it has Wilbur on the front and little Charlotte, and I don't remember any of the other characters' names, but I just love it so much. And so the final books that I have bought for myself in 2021, in the last quarter of 2021, are technically Christmas gifts because I used Christmas gift money to purchase them. And they are some KJ Sutton books. So I read her Peter Pan retelling standalone earlier in the year, and I really wanted to pick up the rest of her books. I have heard Becca from Becca in the Books talk about them so much, so I've been really wanting to pick them up. The first one is Charlie Travesty, which she wrote with Jesse Elliott. This is a serial which has been published as a binder, and is the first of that binder about a girl who is a vampire. I definitely think this is about vampires, and again, I love vampire stories, so I'm really interested to read this one. I think unfortunately that this series has been put on hold indefinitely at the moment, but either way I would still really love to read this first book. And then I also bought the first 3 books in the Fortuna Sworn series. So we have the first one, Fortuna Sworn, book 2, Restless Slumber, and book 3, Deadly Dreams, and then I think the 4th book is coming out in January, which I'm not going to buy yet until I've at least read the first one, just in case I don't like them. But I am sure I will really enjoy these books. So again, I've heard Becca talk about this so much. It's one of her favourite series. It's an adult fantasy romance series about a girl who is a living nightmare, and it just sounds so cool, and I love the covers so much. So I'm really interested to read these, and I really hope that I get to read them soon because I just can't wait. I'm just so hyped for this series, so I really hope that I love it. And so the final section of this video, we are finally getting to the end, I promise, of the books that I was given for Christmas as gifts. So the first one isn't so much of a gift because I technically bought it for myself, but I asked for it to be wrapped up with my Christmas presents, and that was Interview with the Vampire by Anne Rice. I'm going to be taking part in Vampalong in 2022, so obviously I'm going to be starting off with the first book, Interview with the Vampire, and then I will probably be getting all the rest of the books in this 13 book series as we go on. But yeah, again, I love vampire stories. This is obviously a really famous series with a very famous film. film based on this book, so I'm super interested to get to it. It is on my January TBR, so I really hope that I enjoy it. Next, I have a couple of manga. So in 2021, I got really into Junji Ito and I just want to read more of his books. So first of all, we have Remina, which is a science fiction about a evil planet, I believe, that has like come to Earth to overtake us, I suppose. And next is the incredibly famous Tomi, which is about a girl who keeps being killed, I think, by her lovers or something. This is a chonker. This is probably the longest manga I have ever seen, but I'm super excited to read this. I loved Uzumaki, and this is kind of like the third book that I have in that. It's not a series, but the editions all match, so they are kind of like part of a collection, I suppose. But yeah, I'm super excited to get to this one. Next, we have Endgame by Mallory Blackman, which is the final book in the Noughts and Crosses series. I started this series back in March of 2021 and bought a box set of them all, and then this was the last one to be published. I think it was in August. I have the whole series, so I better bloody read them. But this is a special edition from Waterstones with red sprayed edges, which I really love. And I don't know if there's anything else special about it other than the sprayed edges, but I don't mind. I wasn't really expecting a special edition, to be honest. The only problem is it's matte and doesn't match my shiny box set editions, which you can just see the corner of over there. I'm super excited to finish off, well, continue off first of all and then finish this series. I have the second book on my January TBR, so I will definitely be getting to it very soon. I really just can't wait to see what happens next. Next we have House of Hollow by Crystal Sutherland. Honestly, I don't know what this book is about. I just absolutely love the cover and I have seen people talk about it, so I have heard good things. It's only short. I think it's like a paranormal horror type thing. It kind of gives me Wilder Girls vibes by Rory Power. I think that if you can see, like, the flowers are like growing out of the person's face, so I think it's going to have similar vibes to that. I definitely think this will be more of a spooky season read, but I like reading horror year round, so I will try and get to this very soon because I'm very interested to see what it's all about. Next I have Dumpling and Pudding by Julie Murphy. I saw the film of Dumpling when it first came out on Netflix a couple of years ago and I absolutely loved it, so I really wanted to read the book. And it is actually a series. I'm not sure if they're like companion novels or if they're a continuation of the same character, but all I really know is that in Dumpling we are following the daughter of a very famous beauty queen, and her mom wants her daughter to be a beauty queen as well, but the girl, she's not like conventional beauty standards, and there's like conflict there. In the film it had drag queens in it, and I'm a really big fan of drag as an art form, so I kind of hope that that features in the book, but I'm not 100% certain. I'm really interested to get to these. Next I have this absolutely beautiful cloth bound edition of Watership Down by Richard Adams. This is another children's classic that I have always wanted to read but never really got around to. I remember seeing the original film when I was a kid. There is it's either a series or like a TV film that I think the BBC did like last Christmas or something. I haven't seen that, but there was an original animated movie that I watched as a kid that I really loved, and so I just really want to read the book version. I might have read it when I was younger, but I honestly can't remember if I did, but it's definitely something I would be planning to reread. This edition is absolutely stunning. It's got the green like cloth bound and then the gold on it, and it's just beautiful. All I really know is this is about rabbits and they are losing their home. I think that's what happens. But yeah, the film has always stuck with me. I remember having a dream about it once when I was little, and it's literally stuck with me for my entire life. It's quite traumatizing, but I'm super excited to read the book. So next are two books which weren't on my wish list and were surprises to me, but I'm really excited to read them. First of all, we have The Cat Who Saved Books by Suzuki Natsukawa. I nearly had it, which again I don't really know what this is about, but it's a book about cats, and I've recently learned I love books about cats, so I'm really excited to read this. It is obviously as well Japanese translated fiction, which is something I really want to read more of. I liked Battle Royale and I like reading manga, so I would like to read more translated fiction, and so what better place to start than with a book about a cat. And next we have The Cat and the City by Nick Bradley, which isn't a translated fiction book, but it is set in Japan, which I thought was quite funny. So I'm also really interested to read that as well because I love Japan, I love Japanese culture, I would love to visit there one day, so I think this would be a nice little taste of what that is about. I've also only just seen how tiny the text is in the book, so I'm a little bit apprehensive now, but we'll get to it. But yeah, this is just another cat book, and I love cats, so yeah. Okay, I promise we're nearly at the end. We just have two more books to talk about, and they are my Secret Santa books. So I took part in 2 Secret Santas for Spoopy Hole's Patreon and Ro's Patreon? What? For Ro from Wandering Through Worlds' Patreon. I can't remember which book was which, but I have kept the little notes so I can thank the person who gifted them to me. So first of all, we have Mina and the Undead by Amie McCaw. I saw India from What India Read talk about this book when she read it during Spoopathon, I think. So this was gifted to me from Jennifer, from Jen. So thank you so much, Jen, for gifting me this. I'm super interested to read this. It's another book about vampires. What can I say, guys? I'm just obsessed. She arrives in New Orleans to visit her estranged sister Libby. She loves nothing more than a creepy horror movie and can't wait to explore the city's darkest secrets, vampire towns, vampire tours, seedy bars, spooky cemeteries, disturbing local myths, etc, etc, etc. So yeah, it's set in New Orleans. The Suki Saka series is set in the South as well, which I absolutely love. So I think this is going to give me some similar vibes. Jen said that this is based in her home state, so it's also something I'm really interested to get to. Maybe more of a Halloween read, but I just can't wait. I also think that this might be set in the 90s, which is also something that I am quite excited about. And then finally we have The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. Yes, To a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. This is the first in what is described as a comfort sci-fi series, where it's less about aliens and battles and spaceships and more about the people that are living in this, which I'm absolutely very much interested in. I love character driven stuff. So this was gifted to me by Sarah, Soft Drummer Boy. I think this would have been my Ro Secret Santa Patreon. She says it's one of her favourite books and she hopes that I really like it. So thank you so much, Sarah. I can't wait to get to it. This is something I've been wanting to read for a really, really long time. Strangely, after this showed up on my doorstep, I kept seeing people reserve books in this series at the library, which I thought was really weird. But yeah, I really hope that I can get to this really soon. I love all the covers of these books and I just can't wait to read them. They're a lot longer than I thought. For some reason, I thought they were all novellas, but they're obviously not. I'm really, really excited to read this. I'm not holding up all of the books that I've just talked about because I don't think I have it in me. There is a lot there. There is obviously, it's 60 books. It's really increased my owned TBR significantly. I want to read a lot of library books to use the library services because obviously I work for the library. I'm gonna obviously have to prioritise my owned TBR, and I haven't counted, but I've only read a handful of the books that I've bought in the last quarter of 2021, so I definitely need to start making a dent in that TBR. But obviously a lot of them I got for Christmas, which is only like last week. Well, last week of when I'm filming this anyway. But there's a few series on there, so we'll be starting a few series, I think, but whether or not I'll be finishing those series in 2022 is another question. Anyway, yes, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and leave me a comment down below to let me know if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them. And if you would like to leave a comment but you don't really know what to say, leave the money flying away emoji, because that is where all my money is going, because I'm just I literally work in a library and I have bought 60 books since starting working at said library. Logic. Thank you so much for watching and I will see you very soon with a new video. Bye!